Let's do number 72. Saraswati. Jagajanani Jagamata Vani Saraswati Bhadevi Jagajanani Jagamata Vani Saraswati Bhadevi Jagajanani Jagamata Vani Saraswati Bhadevi Jagajanani Jagamata Vani Saraswati Jagajanani Jagamata Vani Saraswati Jagajanani Jagamata Vani Saraswati Jagajanani Jagamata Vani Saraswati Jagajanani Jagamata Vani Saraswati. All right, we'll start the chant. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviriyam Bhavavai Tejasvinaparigramastu Ma Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May Brahman protect us. May He guide us and give us strength and right understanding. May love and harmony be with us all. Om, peace, peace, peace. And I thought since it is in the middle of Durga Puja, we could start with a little bit about the Chandi. And we did the third hymn. Since yesterday was the celebration of her defeating Mahisasura, I thought I would play the defeat of Mahisasura and the second hymn from the oratorio. So basically the Chandi is in story form, trying to get across the idea that sometimes we all have the divine qualities within us, but sometimes our weaknesses get too strong. So what do you do when your weakness is getting too strong? You have to call upon your inner Deva or Devi. You have to call upon your inner Devi to help you override your inner weaknesses. And that's really what the stories in the Chandi are dealing with. The merchant and the king go to a sage because they still feel attachments to their old ways of life, which have been taken from them, and they know they shouldn't feel these attachments, but they still do. And so the sage explains that this is the workings of Mahamaya, that she is the one that fails us with ignorance, but she's also the one that frees us from our ignorance. And so you have to pray to her, and she will come and defeat these inner demons. And so then the stories, of course, all deal with that seem like external demons, but they're all symbols for our internal demons. And the first story deals with Madhu and Kaitava, which is a story which appears in a couple of other places in the scriptures. And it has to do with the tamasic ego, which doesn't want things to get started. The tamasic ego is the part of us that thinks, oh, I deserve to sleep in today. I think I'll just hit that snooze button. Or I don't really need to start that project today. I'll just leave it until tomorrow. That kind of tamasic energy. And so in the story, these two demons don't want Brahma to create the universe. And so they have to awaken Vishnu in order to slay these two demons. But Vishnu alone can't do it. He needs Mahamaya to delude the demons with the power of pride. They think they're so powerful. And so that is their downfall. So pride cometh before a fall. Then the second story, which has to do with the Mahisasura, which we're going to see in the oratorial part, has to do with the Rajasic ego. And Devadatta in his book likened this to having to unpeel layers and layers. For example, if someone's having some psychological problems, they might undergo psychotherapy and they might uncover a particular problem. They might think they've come to the root of the problem, but then as time goes on, they find that they're a little better, but that wasn't really the root, and so they need to dig a little deeper, and then they have to dig a little deeper, and so forth, until they get to the root cause. Or with a physical ailment, sometimes we have a physical ailment, and you go to the doctor, and he treats the external symptoms, but there's some underlying cause that's causing these symptoms. So rather than just treating the symptoms, you have to get deeper into the cause. Another aspect of the Rajasic ego is the ego that tells us to keep busy with things so we can avoid doing what we really need to do. Oh, well, I really should be doing this. Well, I know I've got this deadline, but I should probably clean the house up, or I should probably write my relatives, or I should probably, whatever it is. You think of all sorts of creative things that you feel like you really should do so that you can put off doing what you want to do. Another aspect, say in the sort of kingly realm, it would be the kind of conqueror that just conquers for no good reason other than they want to conquer. And they like killing people, and they like ruling everything. So there's just completely ruthless type of killer. So this is the Rajasic ego in its many forms. And so Mahisasura represents that, and he's a shapeshifter. He can change forms. And so the Devi has to finally get down to the bottom of his many forms before she can defeat him. So that sort of illustrates that idea that sometimes our problems are deep-rooted and they have several layers that we have to go through. No, I don't think we really need a projector. I'll just move the computer closer, and that way, because the computer's just going to be further away and not much bigger. No, this is. Oh, you're not gonna be able to see it.
You're not gonna. No, you're not gonna see it online at all. Sure. As long as they see you.
It's the wrong slide. Well, I could project it. Would that be better?
Yeah, then you would have
It's just gonna take a minute to set up.
your adoring public online.
Yeah.
To see it. Yeah, but then you couldn't see it so easily. I don't know if you want to project. Where do you want to project it?
Well, as long as we've got a minute here, I'll just also tell you about the third story, which begins with the Yadevi. The Yadevi hymn is what they sing because the Devas have again lost their power to Asuras, and this time the Asuras are Shumba and Nishumba, and so they have to they sing that hymn in order to bring her forward to fight these demons. And that battle is even harder than all the others. And it does not occur in other places. Both the first two stories occur other places in various other Puranic texts, but as far as I know, that one does not. This third one does not.
Oh, you got it. Let's see, what do you want to put it back where it was?
No, let's see, I've still got to connect this to the this. How are we going to do this? Is it going to project from here?
What do you want?
I guess maybe either up there or probably up there would be easier for you.
Or over there. So.
Oh, can you?
Yeah, we can turn.
Okay.
Yeah, we can see that easy. But turn off this light. Hang on, I'll get it.
No.
Okay.
Some assembly required. Are we going to need to lift this, or is it going to project over?
Swamiji, once you've done it over here also.
Oh, yeah.
But it would be easier for us, for the home viewers, to do it there.
Yeah, that's that. You may have to put it on something.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. Let's put some books. Not too bad, huh? Oops, that's way too light.
Oh, not too bad.
Except for we need to get it. Yes, I think this is in the way. And that too. Vault 2. And let's do a little weird. It's better.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, well, that's going to be a function. That's no problem. I'm just trying to get it. Okay, so you can adjust it.
Get to it.
That's not going to work either, huh? No, the focus is focus.
No. Here's the H. Oh, is this it? Here it is. Which way is it? Here. Okay, this way. There.
You got it. You got it.
Oh, magic.
So far, it's kind of weird.
It's smallest thing in motion.
It's really good.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's just what happens when you just try anything, right? It just happens to work.
Let's see if the sound is going to help.
Nice. I need to move that a little so you
Okay, I'm not
Yeah.
getting sound at all,
You might
so.
prefer to sit back here.
yeah, you want to come over here, you know, you're not going to see.
You're gonna see better.
But you can't be there to the Swami because it's going to be I have to move that forward.
Then you don't have to turn your head.
Speakers. Let's see if this one.
You think?
Oh, yeah, I'm way over here.
All right, so she's already defeated his army.
Do you want to take that chair that way, Swami? Because you're kind of in the middle of, like, here. I think if you bring this way.
There's so many cords, and I get it.
There we go.
I can get you now you're kind of easier for you.
Just don't pull cords.
No, I wasn't planning on it. So we can actually make you fall quick.
All right, so the sound.
Let's do.
Just turn these lights off.
Yes. You need a chair too, so I sit there.
No, it's not. So she's already defeated the army, and so, but Mahisasura is going to come out to the field himself, and so she has to defeat him. So that's where we are in this story, and then they're going to sing the second hymn, which I have split into 2 or 3 pieces. So.
Elephants, chariots, written of him, and yet Mahisasura still would not give.
Should I turn on all the lights again?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll turn it on.
It's okay, I got it.
And this one too?
Yes, no, might as well. Yeah, that one. Let's see. Maybe break this up, make it into a pop. Yeah, like it, huh? Should I move this back? Yeah. You can put that exactly where you want it. You want it to.
No, Ramakrishna would always tell us that Brahman and Shakti are one. They're really like two sides of the same coin. And so you can think of the whole universe as being pervaded by Brahman, or you can think of the whole universe as being pervaded by Shakti. Doesn't really matter. They're both true. So the rest of the time we'll have here is we'll talk about creation. You know, there's I don't know if you've heard about the quantum computer that Google has done. It's called Willow. Willow is a quantum computer which does things so many times faster. It's a number that's not really conceivable. And so they asked it the question, who made the universe? And wanted to see what it would do. You know, you might, a normal computer, you know, if you ask Chat GPT, I should have done that, see what Chat GPT did. It'd probably say, you know, oh God, or, you know, there are different theories or something like that. But this computer didn't do anything like that. It started giving out various geometric symbols and spirals. So remember how we spent 2 or 3 lectures on the patterns in the universe? Well, all of those kinds of patterns were coming up in the output. And then it started to produce the kind of code that they use to correct errors in computer programs. And let's see, oh dear, now I'm forgetting what the other thing is. Anyway, it came up with several different things like that, and it led a couple of insightful scientists to think, does that mean we're in some sort of a computer simulation? You know, an analogy to a computer simulation, because it seems like what it's generating is more like codes and symbols and patterns rather than a direct answer. And another speculation they had is, have we accessed information from some sort of multiverse? I'm not exactly sure what the multiverse would be. And if you look at the explanation that every time a quantum event happens, it splits the universe, that seems like there'd be an awful lot of multiverses in there. But perhaps it's more like the different levels, you know, the different levels of realities, the subtle, causal, subtle, and gross, to be very quick about it. Or you can talk about, you know, seven levels of heavens and 7 levels of hells, or all sorts of different ways of talking about different levels of reality. And so perhaps that's a little bit more like what the multiverse is. I really don't know. And I don't think anybody else knows at this point. But they're speculating that this is perhaps what this computer has generated. But it's interesting because in some sense, you could say that Advaita Vedanta would say that we're in some sort of a simulation, that the world isn't an actual universe, but it's some sort of a show. It's like a magic show. It's like, oh, that was the other thing. Yeah, it looked like the kind of code you would use for a hologram. And so often you talk about a holographic universe. And so it looks like that some of the physical evidence that's coming in is that this universe really may be some sort of a magic show or a holographic show or some sort of a light show of some sort. Now, we talked about creation in the last lecture and how the various mythologies try to describe what happens in creation. And there were many different kinds of creation, starting at different points. And of course, in order to have a story, you already have to have things there. You have to have different kinds of beings and different kinds of things around. And so these are parts of the elements of the stories. But the essence of the stories seemed to be that there was some sort of unfathomable oneness, which then had to break into two, which then had to be broken into many. Sometimes that took the form of a deity being literally killed and then dismembered, and the parts of the deity spread out all over, that kind of a thing. So those seem to be the basic elements of a lot of these mythologies all over the world. And so that, again, seems to kind of mirror the idea that we get from Vedanta philosophy, where the idea is that Brahman is that infinite, undivided, unchanging reality. So there's nothing happening, it's unchanging, but it has, along with it, the power of Maya or Shakti power, which is personified by the great Devi. And so what is she doing? Well, she is giving us a show of some sort. And so in order to have a show, you have to have the show and you have to have an observer. You have to have a subject and you have to have an object. So that's often the kind of original split that the mythologies describe, is that the first duality is into some sort of subject and object. Then once you've got the subject and object, the object appears as many to the subject. There's only one subject, but there are many objects in the subject. Now, our current physical models also seem to say that. Erwin Schrödinger said there is no hard evidence for the plurality of the observer. In quantum physics, the observer seems to have to be singular, because the observer is the one that collapses the wave function. So it seems as though there is an observer that is observing this, and it's singular, and we all think we're it. That's a nice thing. We all think we're the one. But in reality, we are at one with all the other observers in the universe. And then all this multiplicity out there is the object. But the object and the subject were really one. It's a tangled hierarchy. It's not that there was this subject and it created an object, or there was an object and it created a subject. The subject and object were the original split from the oneness. And so you can't say that you got one out of the other, but that they both arise simultaneously from the one in this apparent universe. Now, if you want to call it a mistake or an error or a misapprehension, that's often what some of the different Advaitic philosophies will do. But in essence, I think it's probably the magic show or the hologram is a better analogy, because there's something real there. It's as Swami Atmavidyananda said, Brahman alone is real and everything is Brahman. So if everything is Brahman, then that means everything is real. So even this show has a certain reality to it. The basis of the show is Brahman. Brahman is, with its power of Maya to project this universe, has created this show for us. And so it's not like it's not like the old model of a potter creating pots out of clay. Then you have to have a potter, and then you have to have clay, and that's not the situation here. So Advaita philosophies basically talk about that creation is a perception. One type of Advaita Vedanta is called Drishti Shrishti Vada. Vada means a doctrine. So this doctrine is creation through perception. And that idea is that we're perceiving this universe, that it's not actual in some sense. But again, I think that's not the best explanation, because in a magic show, you're actually seeing something. The magician is actually doing something, and he's having you see something. And so there's an actual show there. The part that's not real is that he's making you think something's happening that's not happening. That's the unreal part. And so there is an unreal part, but I don't go along with the idea that it's completely unreal. I think that there's a reality to it. Then the Mayavada doctrines teaches that everything is an illusion. And so again, I think that this is a bit of an exaggeration. The illusion is that we're seeing it incorrectly. That's the illusion. It's not that the whole thing is an illusion. The whole thing is made up of nothing but Brahman. Now, if we look at the physics of things, it actually, I think, makes it a little bit clearer, because what we find in the physics is that we find that the universe seems to be made up of hydrogen that has gone through a series of changes. And so the way John Dobson would always describe it is, he says, if you start with the infinite, undivided, and unchanging, and you make a mistake about it, then you're seeing it as finite, divided, and changing. So you can't make any other mistake about it. And so if you see it as finite, you're going to see it as some sort of small particles that are all split up, all manifesting in different places. And that's what we see. We see the whole universe filled with various kinds of atoms and molecules that have formed various objects. And so the universe seems to be all divided up. It's not undivided, but it's all divided up, and they're tiny. Those two things kind of go together. You can't divide things up into bigger and bigger pieces. You have to divide them up into small pieces. So if you start with infinity and you divide it up, you end up with things that are small. So that those two things go together. Then they seem to have gone through all sorts of changes. And so that's the unchanging that's appearing as changing. And so what happens? Well, again, if you split the reality into a duality, like protons and electrons, protons have a positive charge, electrons have a negative charge. So you split them into a pair of opposites. If you split from oneness into pairs, they're going to be pairs of opposites. Now, it's interesting that the creator of the universe is very clever. They didn't create things that were absolutely opposites. If we had a universe made up of electrons and positrons, they'd just wipe each other out and it'd be all over again. That's not much fun. Okay, you want things to stick around a little bit. So, the electron and proton are opposite in charge, but they're not opposite in other qualities. Their mass is very different. The proton's a lot heavier. And so how does this universe get to be the way it is? Well, if you take an electron and analyze what its true nature is, you know, when we take high school physics or even college physics, you get the feeling that electrons and protons are little specks of dust or something that have charged particles. But that's actually not the case. An electron is actually nothing but us seeing the negative charge seen as small. because as we know, if you took two balloons and you rubbed them against your silk shirt or your wool sweater, you would get an electrical charge on them, and they would repel. The two balloons wouldn't want to go next to each other. Now, if you did one on silk and the other on wool, they'll attract because you got opposite charges there. But if you do it on the same fabric, they'll have the same charge and they will repel. So the like charges repel, and so it takes energy to squeeze one negative charge down to a small size. And if you could calculate how much energy it would take to squeeze that one electrical charge down to the size we perceive the electron to be, you end up with its perceived mass. Its energy has to equal its mass times c squared, according to Einstein, and that works out perfectly well. The energy that we calculate that it would take to squeeze one charge down to the size we think it is actually equal to the mass that we think it is times c squared. So it's nothing but the energy of seeing an negative electrical charge as small. And the proton is similarly a positive charge that we see as small, but it's a lot smaller, so it gets heavier. But it's also even more heavier than you would expect just from that. So where does it get all the extra energy mass? Mass energy is the same thing. Well, it gets it from being separated from all the other mass in the observable universe. So every proton that's separated from all the other protons feels its gravitational attraction. And so it would have had to have been pulled apart, separated, and divided out all over the universe. And that takes energy to do that. It doesn't just happen because the protons, being massive, would want to be all together again. So the energy you get from dividing it up all over the universe is that extra weight of the proton. It's a lot heavier. It's something like 1,836 times heavier than the electron. It's a lot heavier. So the basic materials of the universe seem to be our perception of electrical charges seen as small and divided. It's not something else. They're not little particles. Somebody didn't have a batch of clay or a batch of electrons and protons and decided to create a universe out of it. It's our perception of it. So there's that theory in Advaita Vedanta that says the perception and the universe came out at the same time, which I would agree with in the sense that the subject and the object have to come out at the same time. You don't just create the subject and then create the object. You have to create them at the same time. Pairs of opposites come out together. All right, so this is how we get this observed universe, is that we're observing it to be made up of electrical particles that are massive. And so that's our illusion. We think they're solid things, but they're not. They're just energy that we've mistaken to be small and divided. So we see them as protons and electrons. Then when all of these hydrogen molecules fall together, they fall together by gravity. So gravity is the undividedness showing through. As you might recall from previous talks, the three gunas in the Advaita system, not the Sankhya system, but in the Advaita system, stand for three aspects of making this mistake that we're making. How do we make this illusion happen? Well, first, we fail to see it correctly. That's the tamasic aspect of making a mistake. And then we jump to some other conclusions, like there are little electrical particles that have charges on them. But something has to show through, something of the reality has to show through. So the undividedness, the oneness of the reality has to show through, and that's gravity. Gravity would love to have everything back together again in one place. And of course, it does that locally in some instances. creating black holes, of where the gravity has gotten so strong that it wins out over everything else, and it puts everything back into one tiny little spot, which again mathematically comes out as what we call a singularity, where the mathematics falls apart. That kind of tells you that you've gone from the observed universe to some nature of the reality that's behind it, because your mathematics just fell apart. You can't model it anymore. Then the other parts of the reality that show through, we've got the undividedness showing through. The unchanging shows through from inertia. Even though we talked about how gravity wants to pull everything back together again, in the ordinary sense, that chair is just going to sit there unless somebody comes and moves it. Things tend to sit in one place unless something comes to move it. And if you're in a car and you're on slick ice where there's no friction, your car is just going to keep rolling because your brakes aren't going to work. And so it keeps going in the same direction. So things tend to remain in the motion they're going in, or they remain stationary unless some force comes to stop them. And so that's the unchanging aspect showing through. And then the infinite nature shows through in the electrical charge. The electrical charges don't like themselves. That's a strange concept, isn't it? But the negative charge doesn't like itself. It would rather be infinite, but we're seeing it as small. So it's wound up in our seeing it as small. And so that's the infinitude that shows through. It's in the electrical particle having a mass and wanting to be as large as possible. And negative charges repelling each other and positive charges repelling each other. So this universe does seem to be a kind of light show or magic show or holographic show, however, whatever analogy you like to use. Obviously, all of those things are just analogies because we're just trying to describe something we can't actually see because we're in this problem. We're part of the problem, and we're made up of all of these elements that we misperceive. And so the goal of spiritual life, of course, is to try to break free of this illusion. And so how do we do that? Well, we do this with the 4 yogas, of course. And as Sri Ramakrishna would often say, the ego is the big problem. And that's why the Chandi deals with trying to control and destroy those 3 types of ego. And those are the demons within us. We have these egoistic demons within us. And if you're having trouble controlling them, then you need to pray to some sort of external deity in order to tap into your own divinity. When you're praying to an external form, you're really trying to tap into your own divinity within here. And that's really the way we do the puja too. When we do a puja, we feel that the divine spark within us, the Atman, is being projected into the picture that we're going to worship. And then we spend an hour or more worshiping the picture so that we can focus on the fact that there's a divinity there, and then we bring it back within us. So the whole idea of image worship and devotion to a particular deity or to an avatar, the whole idea is to tap into your own divine essence. And this isn't something that's really so strange when you think about it. If you want to be a great golfer, you watch great golfers on TV. If you want to be a great violinist, you listen to great violinists. If you want to be a good anything, you look at examples of people that are really good at those things, or you go and get tutored by them. And so similarly, we want to imbibe the good qualities of these various deities. And so we might need to enhance a particular good quality. So we might want to focus on Saraswati if we want to manifests creativity. Or we might want to focus on Mother Lakshmi if we need more sustenance in our life. Or maybe we need to really wipe out we realize that our desires just keep increasing, and no matter how hard we try and how much we tell ourselves that our desires are silly and they're just short term and they're not going to get us anywhere, they still seem to multiply. So we need to call on someone like Mother Kali, who can swallow up all those multiplying demons within us. So whatever the particular aspect is that we want to enhance in ourselves, we focus on that aspect. Suppose we want to be a better meditator, or we want to be more austere, and we might focus on Lord Shiva as an ideal. Now, Sri Ramakrishna worship so many different deities that we can see in him all the other deities. And same thing with Holy Mother. Holy Mother really manifested the divine qualities of several different Devi aspects. And so by focusing on either one of them, we can choose which of those aspects we're going to focus on more. Or, sometimes it's safer to leave it up to them. Give me what I need. I don't know what I need. So I'm going to meditate on you and hope that you can solve all my problems by enhancing that spiritual energy within me that I need the most. Because a lot of times our ignorance is so much we don't really know what it is exactly we need. And so it's safer to let the divine decide that. So that really is kind of the little very quick summary of Advaita Vedanta and modern science and the new discoveries of the willow chip in the quantum computer, showing us that this world is like a big show that's being created. And just like a movie, there's nothing there but light. A hologram, there's nothing there but laser light. Those things they might look real, but they're not real. So but there is a real show, there's a real projector, there's a real projection, there's a real magician, there's a real holograph. So there's a reality to it, but it's not the reality we sometimes might think it is. All right, so that concludes our talk today, and we have 2 more days if you're doing extra Durga Japam during this time. We have today and tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the last day. And happy Vijoya Day, the victory. And so I hope you all achieve your spiritual victory in this very life. All right. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Filled with Brahman are the things we see. Filled with Brahman are the things we see not. From out of Brahman floweth all that is. From Brahman all, yet is it still the same. Oh, peace, peace, peace.
Maybe you can make a couple announcements.
Yeah, announcement.
Announcements. Thank you so much, Swami. I don't want to stand in front of the Lord. Block it, so I'll stand next to you. It's okay. A couple of really cool things. So as Swamiji said, we do have the form to fill out for your Trashvi Durga amount, so that you could put your name and your it's in the kitchen. So, and if you're out there in TV land, just email me so that we can have your numbers. We have to give them to Maharaj. That'd be great. Coming attractions. Thank you so much. Of course, we have Swami Atmavidyanandaji here, and he's coming again next month, the first of the month. But we do have this month Swami Atmavidyanandaji starting from the 17th to the 19th. And we're gonna have a full weekend retreat like he always does. We're gonna go hiking. We're gonna have all kind of fun. And he's here to also sign his new book. It's Karma, Rebirth and Karma in Hinduism. And I've got ways that you can order it online if you want to donate some to the center for us to sell to whoever wants to buy those. And if you want, he's going to do book signing for you. So if you want to get a copy for yourself, you can have him sign that. And we just found out yesterday we have Swami Atmavidyanandaji is coming back, and that's going to be in November. So he'll be here the weekend before. I think it's the 21st to the 23rd, weekend before Thanksgiving. So it's perfect timing on that. And we're also going to, when Swami Atmavidyanandaji is here, it's Diwali. So we thought maybe we could get some volunteers out there and in here to maybe decorate the center a little bit for Diwali this year. We can put out some nice stuff here. I'm going to be traveling, and I'll be back the day before Swamiji gets here. So I'll be here, but I won't be here to decorate.
Yeah, the temple always makes a big deal. We can maybe all meet there, at least one night.
Well, I don't know how we're going to do that because we've got scheduled for
Yeah.
the whole time with Swamiji here.
Yeah.
He's giving talks every night, but we'd love to have this place reflect a little bit of.
We have a few of the extra lights that you can put out somewhere. I don't know, do we have more of those somewhere?
Not really, but yeah, we'll
I
figure
could
it
send a
out.
few with him.
Would Mina be here to let us in?
Yeah, Mina's
Okay,
here.
So Mina can coordinate what time when.
Well, we can get maybe a group of people who
Sure.
would like to, we can maybe do an email. We can have a group of people who want to work together as a team, and then everybody can have each other's phone numbers,
Very good.
and certain people have access and so on. Okay.
And I'll be here on the first Saturday in November rather than a Wednesday,
Oh,
because I've been invited to talk on an interfaith panel on Sunday.
yay, can we join?
As far as I know, yeah, it's open to the public. So I can send you the information. That is 4:00, but I've forgotten the venue. I'll have to look it up.
So we'll be having Swamiji. We'll certainly make a great weekend.
Yeah.
With you. And then, of course, we have Swami Chandrasekhanandaji. He was here before, maybe you guys remember him.
From where?
He's from Portland.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so he's
Yeah.
wonderfully popular. So we got so surprised, we didn't know. So there you go. Thank you so much. Thank you, Swami. Thank you so much for coming.
Flowers.
Yes, everybody can open it. Thank you, everybody online. We're going to end the live stream now. Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Ma.